G'day everyone. So today on HSVH3 it's time for airbags. Nobody really does a kit that I could find for a leaf over H3 like this one. So I spoke to the guys at Boss Airbags, and look, they put something together for me that would get me fairly close. I'll show you some close-ups of what I've done to get the bag to fit in here, but we've got a triple bellow. I'm told that with no air in these, they will stretch like a rubber band. So hopefully it shouldn't upset our travel in the back too much, but we'll find out. So that's what it's all about. So I'll show you some close-ups of what we've done, but typically I already had a box up here that I had my bump stops stopping on, or if you look back, I had a spring set up here. So I've just cut the front off that to give me access, and we've drilled the top of it to take these two studs and bolt it in. So the top's fairly simple. If you didn't have that, that's fine. They've got a bracket that basically will bolt up to your chassis and give you that U shape for these bolts to be able to use them at the top. So down the bottom, the issue we had there, you give me one moment, is that we had our plate on the bottom. We had this plate, but it's not quite tall enough here. And also the orientation of how I want to bolt these, I didn't want to go front to back, I want to go side to side, and that's wider than the plate. So what I've done is got a bit of 50 by 50 cut off 10mm to turn it basically into a 10mm U-channel, 50mm wide, and I've welded the nuts, or the bolts, sorry, rather, underneath, so that we can just drop that on and bolt it on quite easily. Then if we wanted to take the top plates off to get the springs off, we can unbolt that, and we've got access to the four bolts there. So again, I'll do some close-ups, I'll give some measurements of what I've done, and also we'll have a look at feeding the airlines and how I'm going to cope with that. Okay, so pretty terrible light here, so I apologise for that. Hopefully you can see what we're doing. But now that I've got my bottom piece welded in, top's cut and drilled, bag is assembled, it's time to pop it in. So I've opted to have the valve on the bottom, and that's just going to run up with the ABS line, so that should be out of the way. And we'll just pop this in. And I'm lucky enough to have a forklift. You may not be, so I've got the car lifted up, and in a moment I'm just going to drop that down a little bit so that we can get the bags where we want them to go. At the moment, sitting a bit higher than the bag wants to rest at the resting point. So I'll just come down a fraction. Beautiful. Put a couple of washers. Okay, so obviously you're not going to be able to do it as fast as I just did, but yeah, that's the the basis of it. So that's the main part, the airbag install. The rest is just going to be running a line to the rear to a Schrader valve so that we can put air in or take air out. So that's the major thing. So that's one side down. Now time to do the other side. Okay, so before I completely run out of light, you can see probably through there that the other side's in. So what I've had to do up here, I had this all nicely boxed up because I had a bump stop used to going down the bottom, and then that would come up to there. So I had that all, you would have seen in past videos, all nice neatly boxed up. So I've had to undo that work so that I can get access to the 2 bolts at the top, or the 2 nuts at the top that we need to do. So then down the bottom, of course, first thing I had to do was cut the, sorry about the light here. So I had to cut on the other side the excess thread off of the U-bolts, but that still didn't give me enough space with the bottom plate that I got, which is this one here. It just wasn't quite high enough, even with those cut, to clear the nuts. So what I did on the other side, and I'll show you here, is I just got a piece of 50mm and cut it down so it's about 10mm either side to form a U-channel, and then I've put some bolts through it and welded those through so that I don't have to weld them. Then basically on the other side I welded that across that plate there, and that way the bottom plate just drops over the top and bolts on. Once that's all welded up, and the top just goes through, the 2 studs just go through the top, and whack the bolts in, and happy days. So I'll get back to getting this one all welded up and get some paint on it, and we'll see if we can get close to finishing. Okay, so while I'm literally waiting for paint to dry, I thought I'd go over the bags and show you what they are and how to put them together. These are a Boss bag 2600 series. Look to be really solid bag. Nice solid ring on them, and good clamping area. So hopefully we shouldn't have any problems with them. So what we need, they've sort of worked out that you might have lost your 11mm, so they've used 10mm, so they've used an 11mm. So that's handy, so you don't have to look for your 10mm. And I've also got a small Allen key bit because the top ones are countersunk with the Allen key, and the bottom ones are 11mm. So to assemble these, you've got this rim here that we're going to actually squeezes in between the two, so almost like a beadlock on a tyre. So what we've got to do is try and put them down as evenly as possible. So I'll just get them started by hand as much. Okay, so now we've got them all started by hand, so we don't strip them, or less chance of stripping them. We'll start to tighten them down. So it's just like, I guess, just like doing a beadlock. You know, you're not going to go all the way down in one hit. You know, you go side to side, corner to corner. So just go opposites, work your way around. And in the end, they say you should have around 1 to 2 mil gap between the two plates. I don't think I got down that far, but that it got to sort of more than 2 mil, but definitely it gets down and gives you a good seal. Important that they're all going down evenly, because uneven can give you a leak in the seal. The other important note is they do say don't use any lubricants or anything between the seal. It is a dry joint, so don't be tempted to try and put something in between there. any silicone or anything like that. It is a dry joint and it requires two dry surfaces. So we're getting down there. So if you want the actual torque spec on that, it's F and type. Okay, so that's that side. Now the other side, pretty important. This, if we just whack that on anyway, it's not necessarily going to line up when we put the bags in. So what we want to do is we know that that's running that way. We need that to run that way. So we'll see how that lines up. In this case, I think we got fairly lucky. I might just turn that just a little bit, because once it's, the ring turns fairly easily now, but you know, once you've tightened it up, it won't turn at all. So I'm happy with that. Again, I'll get them started by hand. These ones do have a little washer, they're not countersunk. There's no clearance, real reason for them to be clearanced. I did give that a wipe beforehand to make sure there's no grease or anything on the surface. So, same as when we did the other side, you want to, just going to have a look at that first. Yep, after that. And make sure you're going down as evenly as possible with your 11mm. So you're not trying to get it tightened up in one go. You've got to go around a few times to be patient. Okay, so that's both sides tightened up. Just make sure the gap is consistent that you've got around there. You know, if you've got a nice even gap, it means you've tightened them up nicely. And there you go, there's the bag. Last thing before we put it on, I've got a 90 degree for the, because I'm going from the bottom. So just going in that space. Obviously going from the top because I'm flat against plate, it's been a little bit difficult. Okay, so that's it. Doesn't seem to be any leaks. So that's a bag assembled. So now, hopefully that paint's dry and I can go and install this.